Hello everyone, Prince back again from Aussizz Group Brisbane. I'm a registered migration agent, and the reason why we're doing this video today because of the announcement that has been made by the Minister Claire O'Neill and Andrew Giles on Monday. There has been a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of misconception out there among students or graduates who are about to finish their study. They're a bit concerned and confused that what these new changes are and how these changes are going to affect them in future. So I'm going to discuss three different categories, and obviously if you are one of those applicants from any of these categories, it would be very beneficial to you, and if you can share that information with your colleagues or your friends, that may help them to plan their PR pathway in future, that would be great. So the three categories would be, first one would be international students. I'll be discussing about the changes or proposed changes or how the change is going to affect them in future for international students, as well as temporary graduate holders. So anybody who's currently holding temporary graduate visa, or if they are planning to apply for temporary graduate visa in future, for those as well. And lastly, it would be for employer-sponsored visa, 482 visa holders. So let's get started for international students first. So the most important change that, obviously the Minister announced earlier this year in July was replacement of GTE. So genuine temporary entrance criteria would be changed to GST, which is genuine student test. So what this genuine student test is, regardless whether you're applying from onshore or offshore, department wants to see that whether you're a genuine student or not, whether you have got a career, you got a plan for your career pathway. Like say for example, if you're here on a visitor visa, you've done bachelor or master's back home, and you came here and applied for a commercial cookery or automotive or any civil construction course or any telecom course. Obviously that clearly, it has been a successful pathway for a lot of applicants who are here on a visitor visa. They were applying for wet courses and the department were easily granting those visas, but it's not going to happen anymore once they implement this GST, because department will scrutinize those applications to see whether the applicants are genuine students for Australia or not, as long as you can show a career progression. So technically anybody did bachelor's should be opting for masters, or in case if you have done a bachelor's qualification back home, for example, or master's qualification, for example, if you've done masters of information technology and you come to Australia, or if you want to apply to Australia for a student visa, you got to show that you want to advance in your career, and if you want to get into a wet course, what that wet course would be. That particular wet course should directly implement that learning and skills that you would be getting from your new wet course that you're applying. For example, if you did a Masters of Information Technology, if you're applying in Australia for Certificate 4 in Cybersecurity or a Diploma in Artificial Intelligence, which are one of the main, I would say booming industry where, you need to upskill your skills and knowledge to complement your Masters of Qualification you did back home, then the chances of success are there. But if you're going to jump from your Masters of IT to commercial cookery or any other trade course that is not relevant to your previous study, the criteria would be too difficult. So in short, GTE would be replaced by General Student Test, and GST, I've just explained it to you. The second one would be student visa processing. So far what we have seen in the past that, majority of the students who are applying from offshore or onshore, depending on the, profile of the student, depending on the funds, whether they can show funds to the department or not, whether they've got enough funds to support themselves or not, there was still good success rate in the past. But from now onwards, it will be mainly depending on the risk level from the provider. Like basically when I say risk level will be basically managed or judged by the department. Like, for example, if you're applying for any level 3 college or a level 2 provider, the chances of success would be less as compared to a level 1 provider, because of the risk level rating from the department would be considered before they grant the student visa to any applicant, whether it's onshore or offshore. So the lower the risk, the better the chances are for the success of visa. However, if the provider is at a higher risk level, the chances of visa success would be very low. So just keep that in mind. And the third one would be increasing the English language requirement. Obviously, the bar has been raised. I just want to make sure all these changes, what I'm talking about, obviously these changes have been proposed and most likely will be implemented anytime next year. We are assuming it will happen probably by mid of next year or next financial year, but you should be prepared that these are the upcoming changes next year. So for English language, for LE course, if anybody wants to study an LE course or an English course, the requirement is minimum 5. For wet course, it would be 5.5, and for higher ed, it would be 6 and above. Now, apart from that temporary graduate visa, I'll mention that in the temporary graduate visa. Most importantly, another factor that the department had announced is the scrutiny of the subsequent student visa. So what department do not want to see from here onwards or from the next year, that you're not spending your time in Australia on a student visa and staying here permanently on a temporary visa. So Department or Government of Australia is willing to offer you permanent residency, but as long as you get it sorted in 3 to 4 years of time. So it's very crucial for you to choose a right course from the beginning to make sure that you have your PR plan pathway designed in a way that you get to the point straight away, rather than wasting your time completing your study, applying for TR, and then jumping onto student visa may not be easy anymore, which I'll be discussing in the next section. So it's really important that whatever course you choose it and redesign your PR pathway. If you recently started your studies, think about it again, discuss with your migration agent or education agency who you process your application with, redesign your PR pathway, find out how that particular course you're studying may implement or may affect you in future to plan your PR. And lastly, for student visa, there would be a restriction to temporary graduate visa hold. Like, if you have studied the course and you apply for TR, like 485 visa, getting back onto student visa may not be easy anymore, because back in the days, obviously, still I would say currently it is easy for any applicant on TR to apply for a student visa after that, and most likely they get the student visa granted. But from going forward to the next year, the changes would be, if you are one of those applicants, if you completed study, applied for TR and want to apply for a student visa, you got to make sure that you have a career progression in your qualification. So if you did bachelor's, after your TR, apply for master's. If you've done master's, probably I would say after TR, apply for master's. But research that shows the career progression rather than just applying for a student visa to buy time in Australia. So this is really important, everybody, and something that you need to keep in mind. And for graduates, this is very important for the recent students who have arrived in Australia earlier this year or last year. You got to make sure that you try your best to find a skilled job. So the Australian migration plans are pretty clear. They will be inviting applicants for permanent residency applications who have got skilled jobs. And it's not just the main applicant, they'll be prioritizing the applications with the partners skilled as well. Like, say, if I'm the single applicant, it's all good, but if I'm a skilled applicant, but my wife is not, then the chances are less that even if I have higher points, someone with a similar points may get the priority if he or she has got a skilled partner. So when I say skilled partner, make sure your partner have got a skill assessment as well to increase your chances for permanent residency. So I just wanted to bring all of this information to you so you have this clear picture in your mind that you plan your journey in a way that you get your journey smooth rather than getting into a position where it gets really hard for you. So I guess you're pretty much clear now for international students. So let's move on to the temporary graduate visa. What are the changes for temporary graduate visa? So from next year onwards, there will be two different categories. As of now, we've got post-study work stream and graduate work stream, but this will be replaced by post-higher education work and post-vocational education work. So they have pretty simplified the two different criterias. Like if anybody did bachelor's or master's, they will go for post-higher education work, and anybody with a VET course will go for post-vocational education work. Now, the biggest blow, what I have seen or announcement from the minister, was the age limit. So the age limit till now is 50 year. Any applicant under 50 year can apply for TR or 485 visa. But from next year onwards, and I hope and assume that it will be implemented anytime mid next year, by next financial year, the TR age limit would be reduced from 50 years to 35-year-old. So that's a very big news. There are a lot of applicants out there who may be over 35 and not eligible to apply for TR or 485 visa. If any of you who's watching that video, there are a few ways how you can still get away with the PR plans. As I said before, you have to redesign your PR plan. Whatever you did before, you have to make sure that you redesign it as per the new changes or the proposed changes. Most importantly, I'm not sure all these changes that has been announced by Minister on Monday, whether they'll be implemented to the current students or not. We are yet waiting for the news from the government that these new changes will be affecting the current students or not. There may be a flexibility. They may say that, okay, well, anybody who got the student visa granted after this particular date, or who applied for a temporary graduate visa after this particular date, those are the one who will be affected. That information is still not clear, so do not get disappointed, or I would say get panicked. That's the right word I should mention. Do not get panicked that, okay, well, you don't have any option left in Australia, and do not just stress about it. As I said, we are still waiting for the information for a confirmed date, and the confirmed students who will be affected by these new changes. There is a possibility it may happen for future students. Now, another thing, reducing the length of TR. So we all know that for wet courses, it used to be 2 years TR or 485 visa during COVID time. Pre-COVID, it was 18 months. During COVID, it was increased to 2 years, but now it's back on to 18 months again. But the biggest change what we have seen is for bachelor's and master's. We all know that a few months back in July earlier this year, department announced that bachelor's graduates will be getting 3 years and masters will be getting 5 years if your particular qualification is that list of CRICO scores released by the department. What the government or the minister has announced that they are planning to scrap this announcement. So basically anybody who already got the visa grant earlier for 4 years or 5 years, it's all good. But going forward, bachelor's graduates will only get 2 years, and master's graduate as well will get only 2 years. However, if you've done a PhD or a research, you may get 3 to 4 years of a temporary graduate visa. But for master's and bachelor's graduate, it will be 2 years only. If you're studying from regional, obviously that option is there. If you're studying from regional, 1 year to 2 years extension will be applicable to you or available to you, I would say. But if you're studying from a metropolitan city, bachelor's 2 years and master's 2 years as well, unless you're studying any higher course. Most importantly, that factor which a lot of applicants are confused about, that what happened with the news that was announced by the government in July. Bachelor's graduate were getting 4 years from that list, and masters were getting 5 years. Unfortunately, it may not be there anymore. This announcement that was done by the government in July, they are taking it back or revoking this extension or the extended period of TR time. So it's really important for you to understand how you can utilize your TR time in the best manner you can for your permanent residency pathway. As we are talking about the temporary graduate visa, I would like to also address the concerns for extension as well. A lot of applicants out there are concerned about the extension of temporary graduate visa. We all know that it has been announced by the government that they are planning to scrap the extension anytime soon. So if you are one of those applicants who are holding a temporary graduate visa, and if you have done a qualification that was in the list of CRICO's codes released by the department in July this year, make sure you apply for the TR extension as soon as possible without wasting any more time, because we don't have any date yet which date this will be implemented, but you don't want to miss out the boat where if you are eligible for another 2 years of extension, don't let that go. So my advice to all of you, get the benefit of applying TR extension. If you did the studies from the CRICO's code list, get it done as soon as possible so you get all the benefits and don't miss out any. Let's move on to the next topic. So as I mentioned, last thing about temporary graduate visa. As you all know, we call onshore temporary graduate visa as a 485 visa, but there was a different category, 476 visa, that was only available to engineers from selected countries. If their qualification was accredited under Engineers Australia, they could apply for 476 visa from overseas for minimum 18 months. Unfortunately, it won't be there anymore from next year onwards. We still not confirmed with the date, which date it will be implemented from, but it will not be available from next year. So that's a big blow for a lot of applicants or engineers studying overseas and wanted to come to Australia on a 476 visa. And last thing on the temporary graduate visa, which we still waiting some more information about it. This is mainly for Indian passport holders. From 29th of December this year onwards, anybody who did a bachelor's qualification or bachelor's in honors in ICT or STEM category, information communication technology, or STEM category, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, they may be eligible for additional 1 year on top of their 2 years of TR. So if you are one of them, you may be eligible for that, but more information is not available as of now. This is mainly for Indian passport holders only because of the new agreement between Australian and Indian government ties, and just because of that they have introduced this. So Moving on forward, let's talk about the employer-sponsored visa, or mainly 482 visa holders. There are a few changes in 482 visa category as well. Going forward in the future, obviously, department is going to replace 482 visa with a visa called Skills in Demand visa. So the name would be changed, Skills in Demand visa, and there would be 3 different categories: specialist category, core category, and essential category. So specialist category would be mainly for higher end professionals. So anybody earning around 130K plus, $130,000 plus, they would be coming in the specialist category, and there is no list to that particular category. So as of now, we've got long-term, short-term, regional occupation list. So with specialist category, there is no list implemented on that particular category. The next category is core category. So core category involves only one list. So there wouldn't be 2 or 3 different lists. There's only one list for the particular pathway under core category, where they will be merging all the occupations in one list. And if your salary is between 70 to 130K, you can apply for employer-sponsored visa under core skills pathway for 482 visa. I don't know whether they will keep it the same 482. They may change the number as well, but the new name would be Skills in Demand visa. And the last category is essential category. This is mainly for the aged care and childcare providers, or lower level jobs, I would say. Mainly for essential category, majority of the occupations are sponsored under labor agreement. So if anybody earning less than 70K, they may apply for this essential category visa, Skills in Demand visa, and they can apply for permanent residency as well. So the good thing is that there would be a permanent residency pathway for all these 3 categories: specialist, core, and essential. You will be getting a visa for 4 years, and obviously after 2 years you get eligible to apply for permanent residency visa, which is a good announcement in terms of, I would say, a lot of applicants who are on employer-sponsored visa has been exploited in the past by their employers or the companies, which may not happen anymore. The other good announcement and news would be, back in the days, or still I would say currently, if you have spent about 2 years with one employer, and if you were to apply for, if you spend like a year and a half with one employer, and that employer terminates your employment for some reason, or shuts down the business for some reason, and then you find another employer, you have to restart from scratch for another 2 years to apply for permanent residency, which government has changed. So if you have spent about a year and a half, that time period that you have spent with the first employer will be considered to apply for permanent residency if you were to do it from second employer. So 1 year and a half from first employer, 6 months from the second employer, makes it 2 years. You can apply for the permanent residency after 2 years. So you can combine the employment of employer 1 and 2 together. As long as you're meeting 2 years of requirement, you can apply for permanent residency visa. Now, another thing I wanted to mention for 482, currently for 482 visa, majority of the applicants need minimum 2 years of full-time work experience, which is kind of hard for applicants, especially who have done the vet courses. They have got only 18 months of work visa, or temporary graduate visa after their studies. So that's not enough time period for them to meet the requirement of employer-sponsored visa. So this is mainly for the temporary graduate visa holders. Their requirement of work experience would be less as compared to a standard employer-sponsored visa. So how much the experience would be required for temporary graduate visa holders is not announced yet, but definitely I feel it may be about 1.5 years or 1 year. There may be a flexibility for someone who's holding 485 visa, but it wouldn't be minimum 2 years, because the department or government do not want to miss out those applicants who are studying vet courses to apply for employer-sponsored visa. So I hope that helps as well. And another thing I wanted to mention was about the time frame. Like, say if your employer has terminated your employment, or you have resigned from your position on a 482 visa from your employer or the company, currently the requirement is you have only 60 days to find another employer, which is pretty much a very limited time frame to find a new employer to sponsor you. So that time period has been increased from 60 to 180 days. So on an average, before it was 2 months, now it's going to be nearly 6 months. You have time to find another employer, and you won't be sent any cancellation if you are into that situation. In the past, we have seen quite a lot of applicants in this situation where they couldn't find an employer in 60 days, but now that time period has been increased as well. And moving on, we've got SAF. Everybody knows who are applying for employer-sponsored visas. SAF, what SAF is? SAF is a Skilling Australia Fund. So as of now, the entire amount needs to be paid to the government or the Australian Immigration Department upfront from the employer in terms of sponsoring the applicant for employer-sponsored visa. So moving on forward, the department won't, like the employers don't have to pay upfront. They can pay quarterly over the period of time. So which is a good thing. It's not a financial burden on the employer as well. And I've seen in the past a lot of employers or the companies have stepped back because of the costs involved in the process, and they're not sure whether the applicant is good enough for the company or not. So they are a bit reluctant to pay upfront the entire amount. But it's a good thing for the company confidence and your confidence as well, that okay, well, while you're working together, they are paying quarterly, and it's not a financial burden to them as well. And lastly, for employer-sponsored visa, labor market testing. For labor market testing, there were the requirement was to post an advertisement on 3 different platforms, including Workforce Australia, which is a government website for job seekers. That requirement has been removed. So the new requirement says that you need to put an ad on only 2 platforms, and Workforce is not mandatory. So it's a bit of relief for a lot of employers out there, because it was a bit of hassle for them to post an ad on Workforce Australia, and there was too much back and forth. So it has been removed. So only 2 advertisement required on 2 different platforms to sponsor somebody. So I guess that's pretty much it for employer-sponsored visa. I want to just touch base on a couple of other things that I want to include in this video. So the reason why I'm trying to give you as much as I can, because I don't want you to miss out on any of the information that may be valuable or informative for you. So another category department is going to announce in future or next year would be talent and innovation visa. So we all know that there was a visa called Global Talent Visa till last year. This year there wasn't many application, but department is planning to introduce talent and innovation visa next year. There would be certain seats or quota allocated to this particular category as well. So if you are someone who's got specialized skills, or the skills that can benefit Australian economy, and if you got an innovative idea, or if you have proved yourself in your profession, or you're an entrepreneur, you may be eligible to apply for this visa. Now, this part, what I'm going to discuss, is very, very, very important. I'm stressing it on 3 times. There is a reason. This is especially for all those applicants out there who are married. So department approach for next year or next financial year or in 2024, however you want to take it, they are prioritizing skilled applicant with skill dependent as well. So what I mean to say, if I'm an applicant if I'm a main applicant applying as an engineer, civil engineer, wants to apply as a civil engineer, but my partner doesn't have, skills assist, or, she just got 6 each in IELTS, I've got 5 points from her, and she doesn't have any skill assessment, and I've got 85 points. However, and there's another applicant with 85 points who has got a skilled partner. An applicant with a skilled partner will be prioritized first as compared to an applicant who are not claiming points from their partner. Everybody knows that the points can be increased from good PTE score, NATI, work experience, professional year, regional study. There's so many different factors, but department obviously looking at the point structure, not just the point structure, they'll be looking at the skilled partner as well. So if your partner is not skilled, my recommendation to all of you, make sure you utilize the time frame if you have on your TR or 485 visa. Get your partner skilled as well, so later on when you apply for permanent residency, you can utilize that. You can utilize your partner's skills towards your permanent residency application. It's really important, and a new change that the government has introduced. I don't know if all of you know that there was a recent pilot program that was introduced in Victoria. For this year's state nomination criteria for Victoria was looking for a skilled partner. I believe that has been successfully done in Victoria, and they wanted to implement in all the other states and territories for a skilled partner. The whole idea is to bring skilled workers to Australia. Everybody needs to understand why government is making all these changes. I would like to elaborate a little bit more. Every year, all the states and territories or the federal government assigns a particular quota for migration. It's called migration planning level for Australia for entire financial year. What has been happening so far, the quota was full, but there were not many skilled workers coming in. So obviously, if I've got if I'm a couple, myself as a skilled person, my wife is not. So that quota that has been given by the department, that gets taken by my wife as well. So Australia was giving away the permanent residency, but the skilled partner was not coming in, and it was kind of taking the quota on. So what they're focusing on, they want to make sure that we bring as many as skilled people so we can fill the labor shortage in Australia. Everybody knows that we had a tough time during COVID when there were not many people or skilled workers in Australia. All the businesses and employers were looking for laborers, but we didn't have many laborers. There were no hospitality workers out there, or different categories, I can say. It's important for you to understand to work on your partner's skills if you want to increase chances of your permanent residency. Regional visas like 491 visa, 494 visa will be prioritized as compared to any other visa categories. And this year they haven't given any quota for business visas. And I don't know if any of you know about PALM scheme, which is Pacific Labor Agreement. That will be improvised as well, and there will be a new visa category under that scheme. It would be Pacific Engagement Visa. It's mainly for certain countries, so you may or may not be eligible for it. But if you want to look more into it, you can just Google it, PALM visa eligible countries, and you can look into it if your country falls into that category or not. So I just want to give you a heads up, as I said before, that there has been a lot of changes. I hope all these changes, what I've mentioned, made sense to you. You can figure it out whether going to affect you in future or not. If you're still confused, or if you still want to redesign your PR pathway, or you want to find the right ways how you can secure your stay permanently in Australia on a permanent visa, definitely not on a temporary visa, permanent visa, get in touch with our team. We are based in Brisbane, Gold Coast and Mount Gravatt as well. You can see any of your migration agent or education consultant. We would be happy to assist you and plan your pathway in a way that suits you best and meets the criteria for the government, meet the new criteria proposed by the government. And I hope this video was really helpful to you. Share it with your friends, share it with someone who you feel that may get some benefit with it. And thanks a lot for watching this video. Look forward to see you all, and stay in touch.